Or text the show on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line at 405-651-3439.
Do it! Just do it!
Now, with Locked In, here's Parker Thune and Grayson Singleton.
You know, I was thinking this morning, Grayson, as I often do. I do a great deal of thinking. And I was thinking this morning as I was leaving Lowe's. And here's what I was thinking about. I'll tell you how I got here. We live in a dumb society. This is well established. Steely talks about it more than anyone.
You would think your dad is Steely at this point.
Pretty much. Steely's rubbed off on me. I'll acknowledge it.
Pause.
Steely's personality has rubbed off on me. I'll acknowledge it. But here's what got me thinking. One of the many things I had to purchase at Lowe's this morning was a tank of propane, because I just bought a Blackstone grill, or griddle, I guess, very much looking forward to using it for the first time. And, of course, it runs on propane, so I had to go buy a tank of propane. And, of course, you have to make the initial investment once, and then you can exchange the tanks thereafter, and it never costs very much money. But initially, a tank of propane is pretty expensive. And so I got to thinking, I forgot which brand it was, but growing up, something triggered a memory for me. Growing up, there was a brand, there was a company, I can't remember which one, and they were a propane company. And their slogan, their trademarked slogan, mind you, was, "It's not just propane."
That's concerning.
It is, because that's quite literally all it is. It is just propane.
But also, the fact that you have propane mixed with something else, potentially, could become problematic.
Like, any way you spin it, it's a really dumb slogan.
Yes.
And I realized, you know what? Somebody got paid to come up with that slogan. There were meetings had in which the powers that be within that company decided, yes, we're going to proceed. We're going to move forward with this slogan. How many people had to check the box? How many people had to sign their names? How many people had to agree that, yep, this is what we're going with? Our slogan as a propane company is going to be, "It's not just propane."
There had to have been at least one person who thought about this and like, no, this can't be right, because you don't want to mix that with anything.
A 405 listener takes a counterintuitive approach here on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line, 405-651-3049, or 3439, excuse me, and points out, it's a smart slogan because you clearly remember it. Yeah, but not for the right reasons. Now, every time I see your brand, every time I see your logo, which first off, it wasn't that memorable anyway because I don't remember which brand it was. But now, if I do see your brand, I'm like, ha, those idiots. They paid somebody who knows how much money to come up with that slogan.
Eric in the OC, it's Strickland Propane. I sell propane and propane accessories.
Yeah, well, Blake Gamble insists that it's Blue Rhino. So clearly there's some dissension as to which propane company is actually responsible. Regardless, it made me realize, how many people are there in our country and in our world who are getting paid for the dumbest things? And I know there are many of you out there, I consider myself one of these people, who work very, very hard and take pride in it. But there's also part of me that's like, you know what? Wouldn't it be nice to just have a BS job where you just sit in meeting rooms and float crap around and cash a big check at the end of the month?
Or you can be a lifestyle influencer and get paid like $10K a month. Or
you generally have to be attractive for that, and or rich. If you're attractive and rich, that's where you got something. It's one of those things you're kind of, there are natural advantages baked into the pie for influencers, it would seem.
Very true.
Also, you have to like attention.
You don't like attention that much?
I could never be a social media influencer. I wouldn't want that many people interacting with my stuff, regardless of what type of content I was doing. I report on OU football and recruiting. I interact with OU fans for the most part. Obviously, I've been pretty fortunate to build a network across the country, fellow journalists, people in the coaching and personnel world, etc. But like, I don't want my content. I would not want my content to be accessible to who knows how many million people all over the interwebs, filling up my comment section with Lord knows what type of BS. The influencer life is not for me.
Fair enough.
If you can swing it, good on you. The Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line is available to you throughout the show at 405-651-3439. Definitely want to give a shout-out to Dorsey Jones Buick GMC, the proud sponsor and presenting sponsor of Locked In here on the Ref. Dorsey Jones is family-owned and operated. They pride themselves on having the best service technicians and friendly service advisors that put your needs first, a low-pressure environment that creates an enjoyable experience for everyone, a knowledgeable sales staff, all that incredible pricing as well, half-price oil changes on Saturdays. So many reasons to head out to El Reno and check out Dorsey Jones Buick GMC. Greg from Lawton on the text line says, Propane! It's heat, it's fire, it's ability to cook food. For some, it's life. A different perspective for you, Parker. That got deep, Greg from Lawton.
That was smart as hell.
A 405 listener says, did you ever consider the propane company wasn't being literal? Maybe they're insinuating their propane brings you family time and good food, and that's the quote-unquote more? Maybe they're not the dumb ones, but in fact, you are? Theoretically, yes, I could be the dumb one here. But if you have to dig that deep for a meaning in the slogan...
It's probably not a good marketing strategy. Exactly.
Exactly. Let's talk some OU football and recruiting. 307 listener says, for example, you clowns get paid to talk on the radio. Okay, fair point. Let's hit some OU football and recruiting coverage. I want to start with a defensive tackle target for Oklahoma that we haven't spent a ton of time talking about as of yet. Taj Overton is obviously one of those guys that we've talked quite a bit about. Deuce Gerald's five-star prospect from down south, another guy that is high up there on the wish list for Oklahoma. Tank Carrington, the blue-chip defensive lineman from Las Vegas, set his official visit to Oklahoma yesterday. But there's another kid that's flying under the radar. And understandably so. He's only a 3-star right now, and he's from the state of Pennsylvania, so not one with which or with whom many Sooner fans are going to be terribly familiar because there isn't that aspect of regionality. You probably haven't watched him on a Friday night. You probably don't know somebody that's watched him on a Friday night. But Tavian Branch from Riverside, Pennsylvania, is a kid that Oklahoma likes a lot. And they're going to get him on campus for an official visit June 6th through the 8th. The other two key players in this race for his commitment, not shockingly, Penn State is one of them. The other is Rutgers. And, of course, you're looking at that thinking, Rutgers, really? Let me just make it clear to you. If you don't know, now you know. Rutgers has money. Rutgers has money. Rutgers also has the advantage, with a kid like Tavian Branch, of being able to realistically pitch him on immediate playing time. They will tell him, you really going to see the field at Oklahoma and Penn State as early as you can see the field here? That will be part of the pitch. And so, for that reason, I would cajole you not to discount Rutgers in this race, even though it would appear that Oklahoma and Penn State are the two heavy hitters in the mix. But I know you got the chance to take a look at Tavian Branch on film earlier. There are those in the Oklahoma circle and elsewhere who think this kid is criminally underrated and due for a big hike in the rankings department. What have you to say about the prospect that is Tavian Branch?
Well, it fit right in, I'll tell you that. Look, the one caveat to Tavian Branch is that he plays at a small school in Pennsylvania. Mm-hmm. And he's going up against offensive linemen that should not be playing. They're smaller. That's an undeniable fact. However, he is dominating. And that's all you can ask. He's a guy that's going to command double and triple teams. He's a guy that you're going to have to scheme up against in order to keep him out of your backfield. He's really fast. For a dude that's 6'4", 290, 300, depending on the day, he's pretty fast. Very nimble on his feet, and that's impressive. He has really good hands, too. Very good at getting rid of blocks with his hands, swim moves, rip moves, that sort of thing. So he's already a more polished guy coming out of high school, or will be when he finishes his senior year, than a lot of people. So that combined with the fact that he's dominating his competition, which he's not playing against the greatest competition, but he's being dominant, leads me to believe he'll be a great collegiate player. And the fact that he already is 290 of pretty good weight, I think it could be a little bit better, but he moves well, he's quick, and he seems to carry his weight very well. I think he's a tailor-made college player. And Rutgers, if you're in the situation, you would be comfortable putting him in. You would be comfortable with him playing significant snaps his freshman year.
How quickly do you think he could see the field for Oklahoma?
In rotational duty, I think you can give him some run. I don't think you want him starting in the SEC his freshman year, because and that goes back to relative to the level of competition you're playing in high school. I still think there's still going to be an adjustment curve that he's going to have to do going from 3A or 2A high school in Pennsylvania to the SEC. Does he end up at Oklahoma? So I don't think he plays right off the bat here. I do think he's good enough to earn him some snaps. 10, 12 snaps a game in meaningful snaps. But at a Rutgers, what do you got to lose?
Exactly.
You're Rutgers.
And it's a good point. And it's one that could probably be fleshed out a little bit deeper. I mean, when you think back to Oklahoma's 2024 class, two of the top prospects that they signed, not the top-of-the-line guys, but two of the upper echelon guys that they signed in that class were Eli Bowen and Danny Okoye. If you passed both of them on the street, you'd be a lot more intimidated by Danny Okoye than Eli Bowen. But the reason why you saw Eli Bowen on the field a lot as a true freshman and why his game was able to translate more readily than Danny Okoye is that Eli Bowen played 6A high school football in Texas. Danny Okoye was playing for a homeschool association in Northeast Oklahoma. Now, that doesn't mean Eli Bowen's going to be a better player than Danny Okoye in the long term. Okoye has tools at 6'5" and 255 pounds that quite understandably people in the building at Oklahoma are very excited about. They think he can be a menace and will be before long. But if you're looking for somebody whose game translates in an immediate sense to the next level, you probably want somebody that has played at a high level or as a prepster, I should say. And so you're looking at those 6A guys in Texas. You're looking at those 6A guys in Oklahoma. You're looking at those high-level high school players in places like Georgia and Florida and California. Those are generally the guys. Not always, but those are generally the types of guys that are going to be able to give you something sooner than the rest of the crowd. But for Oklahoma, with where they're at, they have enough in that defensive tackle room that they don't need a guy like Tavian Branch to be ready to roll right off the bat. Because I will tell you, the one kid that they signed at defensive tackle in the 25 class, that is a guy who is tailor-made for early impact in Trent Wilson. Because he played at a very high level on the high school scene in the Washington, D.C. area. He is very intimidating physically, very well filled out, ton of muscle, no fat, it's just all muscle. I mean, it's almost 300 pounds of just straight muscle for Trent Wilson. He looks kind of like a sawed-off Jaden Jackson. He's a little bit shorter than Jaden Jackson is, but when Jaden Jackson showed up to campus, everybody was like, oh, that dude looks like an action figure. Yes, we like that. And Jaden Jackson outpaced David Stone at Oklahoma as a true freshman, even though Stone came in as a guy that was regarded as the more coveted prospect, and I think you can certainly make the argument he's got the higher ceiling in the long run. That's fair. There's a reason he was a 5-star. But Trent Wilson certainly could be a Jaden Jackson type guy in the sense that if you needed him to play a substantial role in year one, I think he could be more than ready to do so, and he'd be more than capable of doing so. You're probably not going to need him to, though. because not only do you have Jaden Jackson and David Stone, but you have Dominic Williams and Grayson Halton, and Marcus Strong is still there on that roster. Oklahoma could choose to add another defensive tackle in the transfer portal at the end of spring. That's a possibility, although not a certainty. I do think it's a certainty they're going to add a transfer corner, but defensive tackle, maybe. We'll see. Regardless, though, as you look at this 2026 class, and if you're counting on Oklahoma landing Taj Overton, which I think is a likelihood at this point, not a certainty by any means, but if you think you can land Taj Overton, if you think you can land a guy like Tank Carrington or maybe a Deuce Geralds, you're going to have one, maybe two guys that realistically could give you something right off the bat, which means if Tavian Branch can't, that's fine. He can come along at his own pace. He can develop at his own speed. When he's ready to roll, you can let him loose, and you don't have to push him any faster than he's ready to go. So I think there's a lot to be excited about with that kid. I think Oklahoma's got a shot. It's hard for me to believe because, we've been down this road before with kids from up in the Northeast, and Oklahoma has pulled a dude or two from that region in years past. Phil Picciotti comes to mind. But, I think about Cole Breeler last year, who was very, very high on Oklahoma. He went to high school in New Jersey, winds up committing to Stanford out of the blue on his very first visit out there. And so for a kid that, to my knowledge, has never been to Oklahoma, I don't think Tavian Branch has visited OU yet. For a kid that doesn't have a ton of familiarity yet with the program, yeah, there's a lot of potential. He could very well wind up in the class. There's potential, he gets on campus. He could commit if he loves it, just like Cole Breeler did with Stanford. But, with Penn State and Rutgers, the other two schools in the picture, maybe he just decides he wants to stay closer to home, which is perfectly understandable, especially for a small school kid like him. Okay, 405-651-3439 is the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line. Teddy Lehman's a deeper thinker than me, which we all knew this to be the case. He said, imagine a backyard barbecue for Father's Day, or a warm shower on a cold day, or someone running a generator after a storm. If that was the commercial, the slogan would make sense. Maybe they ran commercials, and I just never saw them. All I ever saw was the slogan.
I'll try to find those.
We'll have to do some internet sleuthing on the other side. Stay with us. You're listening to Locked In here on the Ref Sports Radio Network. We'll be back.
Obsessed with Sooner Crootin? Then it's time to get locked in with Tyler McComas and Parker Thune every afternoon from 2 to 3 on the home of Sooner fans, the Ref Radio Sports Network.
I'm Noble McIntyre, and I'm the father of 3 daughters. Protecting them has been my highest priority.
Protecting the vulnerable should be the responsibility of all of us. Every year, thousands enter residential treatment facilities seeking safety and care.
Reports of abuse, including sexual and physical abuse of minors in their care, have plagued these institutions for years. Major facilities have been investigated, shut down, and staff convicted, but the problem persists.
If you or a loved one have suffered abuse, call McIntyre Law at 405-777-7000.
Coach Stoops here. Join me every week on The Ref, the home of Sooner fans. Monday morning at 7:45, I'll join the voice of the Sooners, Toby Rowland, and TJ Perry for the Stoops Review. We'll break down all the action from the weekend, and on Thursday afternoons at 4:45 with Teddy and Tyler on The Rush as we get you ready for the weekend slate. It's the best time of year, and you can find me exclusively on The Ref. Download the K-Ref app today so you listen from anywhere in the world.
Hi, this is Jack Kiker with Knippelmeyer Chevrolet, located in Blanchard, America. My grandfather, Larry Knippelmeyer, tells me everybody deserves to save money, so say goodbye to those pushy big-time dealers with all those add-ons like paint protectors, nitrogen tires, and everything else that they could possibly think of. Then come down to Knippelmeyer Chevrolet, just 15 minutes from OKC or Norman. At Knippelmeyer, we will save you money and make sure you get a good buy from a family-owned dealership that has treated customers like family for over 65 years. Chevrolet, together let's drive.
Mike Steele here for Lasher Home Comfort Systems, your trusted home comfort experts in the Oklahoma City metro area. Tim Lasher and his team have more than 130 years of combined experience. They recognize a significant number of homeowners live with inadequate home comfort systems. They specialize in diagnosing your home system issues while providing more efficiency and reducing your utility costs. As an authorized dealer of American Standard, Tim can service your residence or business. Call Tim and his team at 405-579-3113. Lasher Home Comfort Systems.
This is Mark Van Hoos, owner of Van Hoos Fence. Van Hoos Fence has years of experience and proven superior performance, kind of like a certain head ball coach.
We know Van Hoos Fence offers the best value and service for your residential, commercial, or sports fencing needs. Whether it's a new install or repair work, let Mark and his team at Van Hoos Fence be your trusted resource.
Call us today at 405-735-1167.
Save yourself from Googling it up. Go to vhfence.com. They will work with you in a great way.
Hi Norman, it's DJ Newsom with Alliance Bank, your community-driven, friendly neighborhood bank. Whether you're a budding entrepreneur, lead a nonprofit organization, or just someone seeking a better banking experience, we've got you covered. From business to personal banking, we tailor our services to suit everyone's needs. We believe in making banking easy and enjoyable. Visit our Norman location or call us today at 405-286-5750. Alliance Bank, banking tailored to your needs. Member FDIC.
Basketball season's here, and there's no better place to watch the Sooners than at Coach's Corner in Norman. Catch every thrilling play on tons of TVs, plus enjoy the coldest beer in town. But wait, Coach's Corner isn't just for game days. Join us Tuesday nights for bingo, Wednesday nights for Singo, and don't miss Thirsty Thursdays with unbeatable drink specials. With Soul Food Sundays, the best atmosphere for OU basketball, and events all week long, Coach's Corner is your go-to spot at the intersection of Lindsay and Berry, where every day is game day.
Oklahoma DRS helps job seekers with disabilities become taxpayers.
Their whole thing is to help people with disabilities go back to work.
They knew that I would be successful if I did not give up.
They have given me the power and confidence to face any challenge.
I'm just glad that, DRS was there. Empower yourself. Talk to DRS Vocational Rehabilitation
or Services for the Blind today.
OKDRS.gov. 800-487-4042.
Well, Grayson went and dug up some old Blue Rhino commercials in which they are encouraging you to grab life by the horn, which is an entirely different can of worms. I think it's becoming clear that the propane industry might have
a marketing problem.
Some room for improvement in the marketing realm, if this is what we're rolling with. So, if any of you propane execs out there need a consultant, Grayson and I are available for extra work on the side. I want to get to this, though, because this has been a very prominent point of discussion across the college football social media landscape today, which, by the way, you want to chime in, please feel free to do so on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line, 405-651-3439. Our boy Pete Nakos at On3, and I will say this, I look young for my age. It is well documented that this is the case. If I were a regular bar goer, if I were a denizen of bars, I probably would have to show my ID.
Yeah, you would.
I probably could not convince them that I was over 21 otherwise. Pete might be the one guy in the industry who looks not only younger than me, but substantially younger than me. I'm fairly certain Pete is a couple years older than me, actually. I think Pete's in his late 20s. If you see a photo of Pete, he legit looks like he's 13 or 14. So I'm glad I got somebody in the boat with me in that regard. Glad I'm not the only one who looks way younger than my actual age.
Oh, God. He looks like he hasn't even hit puberty yet.
Exactly. Oh, but Pete Nakos and On3 put together a story today detailing the world of tampering across college football. And boy, is tampering an epidemic. Let me read you some quotes from Pete. who talked to anonymous staffers, collectives, and agents regarding the phenomenon of tampering in college football. Quote, I don't know anybody that doesn't. Group of 5 teams are doing it on crappy group of 5 teams. If you're not tampering, you're putting your program and university at a disadvantage to win games. An ACC NIL collective exec said this. I'm already getting text messages. You know when you pull up ESPN and get the stat line? I probably get 10 to 15 of those a day, and it's just like, you guys have any interest in this kid? Hey, this kid will get in the spring portal. What would you pay them? Agents are just shopping. They're hustling. It's become part of the nature of college football at this point. If you're not reaching out to agents, getting idea of who they have, who might be moving, or who they've been talking to, then you're probably not doing your job. Right now in the portal, you can sign your team to a new contract, but that doesn't mean crap until you get through the spring. There's more, but those were just a couple examples that shot out to me. And then, obviously, you've seen a new wave in the last few days of players entering the transfer portal, and it's not hard to tell that there is tampering involved. For instance, earlier today, at about 1:15 p.m., there was an offensive tackle from the University of Oregon named George Silva who entered the portal. Within minutes, within the hour, it became apparent that he was going to transfer to Oklahoma State. And of course, everybody knows what's going on at that point. Everybody knows there was a back channel deal that Oklahoma State brokered to get the kid from Eugene to Stillwater. But you can't do anything about it. It's open season. And at this point, as those unnamed sources in Pete's story mentioned, if you're not doing it, then you're falling behind.
Parker, I know you're not much of a movie guy, so maybe the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line can vibe with me on this one.
Okay.
You ever seen the movie The Purge?
I've not seen The Purge.
It's a good movie. You should go, there's about four or five of them. You should watch 1 or 2.
Okay.
But do you know the premise of The Purge, right?
I do not know the premise of The Purge.
All crime becomes legal for 24 hours.
Oh.
Now, this is going to be a pretty extreme example because in The Purge, they start offing people.
I like where this is headed, though. Keep going.
But you know who authorized that? The powers that be in the movie. They authorized for 24 hours, you can do whatever the hell you want. And the powers that be, whoever's governing college football, has authorized this state of anarchy that we're in right now. It is the Purge, college football style, and everybody stays alive. But for your program to stay alive, though, you gotta break the rules. You gotta become unethical because everybody's doing it. Once things that are unethical become legal, you can't just follow the former traditional legality. And I think that's what this article is by Pete Nakos is saying. Traditional legality is out of the realm of possibility now if you want to compete. That's just the reality of the situation. And if we want to move forward with this, because we've spent months, if not years, talking about what's wrong with college athletics, what's off about the state of this industry. If we want to move forward toward solutions, we know there is a problem. We've got to properly identify the problem. And the problem is the powers that be have been derelict in their duty to transition us from one era of college athletics to the current one. It's a complete neglect of leadership what has gone on, and we have this state of anarchy where we are in a spot where, quite frankly, we do not want to be.
Hey, shut up, Gunny. He texted and said, if it's not Moneyball, he's clueless. I've watched other movies.
You sure about that?
Mark from Enid says, Kennesaw State. Sooner Soldier. If you aren't cheating, you aren't trying. If you get caught, you aren't trying hard enough. The new NCAA slogan. There you go. That's some creative marketing. When is Oklahoma going to hire a director of tampering? And who should they hire for that role?
I mean, I'm going to be a little bit facetious with this one, but I feel like you should find somebody who has a history of tampering. Isn't there there's an open GM spot, right?
There is an open GM spot, yes, which Oklahoma is getting close to filling.
Okay.
They are getting close to filling.
If it was me, and again, I'm being tongue-in-cheek here, I'd go find somebody who's done some sketchy stuff to get players.
Such as?
I mean, you know my affinity with Will Wade as a potential replacement for Porter
Will
Moser.
Wade, director of tampering.
Now, obviously he wouldn't be the GM or in a front office role, but you can't go hire somebody who's going to do things by the book. I think at that point you're hustling backwards because you're playing a game from 10 years ago. You're not playing the game today.
Who's the biggest sleaze bag in college football?
Urban Meyer?
Okay, yeah, but he's a sleaze bag in a different way. Not really a sleaze bag for going under the table with stuff. Well, at least not in that sense.
Well, gee. Oh, my goodness.
Oh, Alex from Manfred says, let's hire Kelvin Sampson to be the director of tampering. Kelvin was ahead of his time, man. He was – what Kelvin Sampson was doing circa the year of our Lord 2006, like if you called that into the NCAA office these days, they would hang up on you so fast.
You know what I would do?
Like, yeah, we don't care.
You know what I would do? If they're still with us, I'd go get some of those administrators from SMU when they got the death penalty.
Boomer Gooner's on it. He said Connor Stallions. There you go. Connor Stallions, Oklahoma director of tampering. He follows me on Twitter. I'll DM. I'll see him.
Does he
see
actually?
If he's, yeah, he does. I'll see if he's interested in the role. Connor Stallions, University of Oklahoma director of tampering. Tattoo Baker says we could hire Gabe Eichert, #Pastagate. Oh, I forgot about that.
Papi Chulo says Ed Ogeron. He's a sleaze bag for other reasons, too, that I don't know if you'd want to bring to Norman.
Greg from Lawton said, Grayson, that is maybe the best comparison I've heard equated. If everything was legal for 24 hours, what would you do first?
Oh, I hate this question.
You don't have to answer.
Probably tax fraud.
Tax fraud.
Some kind of white-collar crime, probably.
That's the way to do it. Set yourself up.
I have no need to go rob some people. Like, I'm not going to go commit a violent crime.
Yeah, probably not good. Karma will get you for that.
I'd probably commit one of those victimless crimes that that people say.
Chris from Knoxville says, a problem is not a problem as long as nobody sees it as one. The powers that be are saying adapt or die. And unfortunately, going back to one of the quotes from Pete's article in which he mentioned that group of 5 teams are stealing from the bottom level group of 5 teams, really nobody, like if you are at the lowest level in college football, you're not going to have a single player on your roster that you can hope to retain because everybody else in the sport is going to be coming after them. For programs like those, and just to pick one example, I know plenty of folks on staff out there at UTEP in West Texas. Great people. They've done a tremendous job recruiting. They very heavily recruit the state of Texas, which is something the old staff there did not do, but they deal with it because they have been a perennial bottom feeder in Conference USA for years and years and years. That program hasn't won a bowl game in almost 6 decades. And so if they have good players, and they have had a few in recent years. Jacob Cowing, you remember him? Wide receiver that wound up transferring to Arizona. They had another that wound up transferring to USC. This past year, they had an edge rusher that popped off for, I think, 7-8 sacks as a true freshman. He was in the portal the second the season was over. Landed at Oklahoma State, as a matter of fact. Kyron Duhan's his name.
Mm-hmm.
You'll have to watch out for him. He's pretty talented.
He is pretty good.
Like, that is what's going to make college football less and less tolerable for the people who coach at that level and the administratives that oversee programs at that level is, man, we can't even build a roster that our fan base recognizes year to year. because any of the players that are worth recognizing, any of the players they come to regard as standouts, man, they're going to be in the portal as soon as the season's over. Getting a better NIL deal or better exposure somewhere else. I don't know where this sport is headed, man, but I think it's becoming clear that Oklahoma's one of probably 25, 30 programs in the nation that's going to be equipped from a resources standpoint to compete at the highest level. The rest will just never have any chance.
Parker, I've got a solution to this, dude.
Okay. Is it the Purge?
No.
Okay.
We're already there. Just have them sign contracts. Have them sign contracts. 3-year contract with an opt-out after 2 years. Some players get a 1-and-1. Some players get a 1-year contract. That's where we're headed. And I think the reason we're not there yet is because we're still trying to hold on by the slimmest of threads to what was.
This is a fantastic text from Sooner Bub. With our compliance department, we'd be lucky to get the Pope as GM.
Yeah, that's a fair point.
Nick and Sepulpa. Director of Player Tampering, Barry Switzer in his fur coat. The Normanite says, hey, here's how to fix it. 5 years of eligibility. Freshmen are paid a flat fee by position. Sophomore year, you sign the contract, only offer 2-year contracts for everyone moving forward. 2 years transfer the junior year. Fix the effing transfer window. I know there are those, and this is an ongoing conversation, but there are those in the college football world who have begun to advocate for basically the equivalent of an NFL calendar, where you just have one quote-unquote free agency window.
And you have to say the academic calendar be damned.
Yep,
at
pretty
this
much.
point.
Because let's be real. Any football program that's, frankly, doing all that they can to compete in this day and age, in this era of college football, they are ready and willing to make concessions and exceptions and provisions from an academic standpoint for any student athlete that they can get in their program.
And here's the reality of the situation. Here's why I stopped using the term student athletes long ago. There isn't an emphasis on the school part. There just really isn't.
Not.
I mean, football is the full-time job, and school is the side hobby. That is what it is, and that's what it demands as well. It's not the kid's fault. Like, that's just what it demands.
Pretty much.
So because you bring them in to do a job, you do have to treat them differently in that point. Now, football matching the academic calendar was something you could do with a 14 playoff.
Can't do it anymore.
You cannot. It is impossible to do anymore. And that's why I think you just have to get rid of any relation between the football calendar and the academic calendar. There's just no way it can happen anymore.
Gunny said, having Parker tell me to shut up is my second favorite reaction to a text. How many other movies have you watched? 4? At least 4. Gunny.
Have you seen Harry Potter?
Probably 8. I would go as far as to say I have seen 8 movies besides Moneyball.
Have you seen Harry Potter?
No, I have not.
Oh, my God. Parker.
Doug and Norman says, you need a complete sleaze bag to be a good director of tampering. I nominate Art Briles.
Rick Pitino.
Doug went full villain right there.
How's Rick Pitino sound
villain
to you?
Yeah. For football? Yeah, you know what? I could get with it. He definitely has mafia connections.
Mm-hmm.
You hear him talk, that much is obvious. Yep, okay, I'm in. Patino's a candidate. He'll get an interview. Okay, folks, keep firing away on the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line, 405-651-3439. More OU football and Crootin talk on the other side. Couple of key targets for OU just cemented their official visits. We will dive into that on the other side. Stay right here on the Ref, the home of Sooner fans.
Hey Sooner fans, this is Lexi Keys, and you're listening to The Ref, the home of Sooner fans.
Don't miss out on OKC's hottest entertainment at the Showplace Theater with acts like Gladys Knight, February 28th. 38 Special, March 7th. Bonnie Raitt, March 15th. And Chicago, March 28th. Riverwind as OKC's favorite casino experience.
The Ref is the home of Sooner fans and is once again your home for chaos. Every game-changing hit.
Long fly ball to left. Track. Whoa. Gone.
Every strikeout.
Got him. Swinging.
Every defensive gem.
He caught it. He caught it.
Every game, all year, the Ref has you covered.
Catch Sooner baseball against the Texas Southern Tigers this Tuesday and Wednesday at 4 p.m. with pregame at 3:30 right here on the Ref and the K-Ref app.
Are you in need of purchasing your own health insurance? Are you turning 65 and confused about Medicare? Are you an employer looking at offering benefits to your staff? Call the agents at Allison Insurance. They'll sort through the confusion. They're not captive to just one company, and they'll get the best option for you. Don't get frustrated. Call Allison Insurance at 800-580-5587 or 745-2968. Allison Insurance. They are the experts.
OU softball, baseball, and gymnastics offer great opportunities for you to get out for some exciting action and support your Sooners. Going to an OU event or game? Balfour of Norman on Campus Corner invites you to stop by and get some new OU gear. Whether it's a softball jersey with your favorite player or just a new lucky shirt or hat to wear to the game, Balfour has everything you need to be in style and showing your colors. Cheer for the Sooners in the best and newest styles in Sooner sportswear. Locally owned for more than 45 years, Balfour continues to be Sooner fans' favorite OU store and has everything you need. Balfour has the latest styles and fashion trends for men, women, and children. You can find something for every Sooner fan. When it comes to hats, they have you covered with more than 100 styles to choose from. Even OU socks, so you're literally covered from head to toe. Graduation is right around the corner. They have OU diploma frames in stock. Or you can always get a gift card so they can choose the perfect gift for themselves. Come see us on the corner or shop online at crimsonproud.com, where you will find everything Sooner.
The all-new Eskridge Honda is here, right in time for the new year. Our new building is awesome, just like these deals. Right now, get new 2024 Honda Ridgelines, just $349 per month. Come in today to get the best deals all month long. Now conveniently located off I-35 and 89. Just look for the blue tents on the roof. Online at eskridgehonda.com.
2024 Honda Ridgeline, $349 per month, 3-year, 10,000-mile lease, $49.99 plus TTNL. First month's payment due at signing, ends 2/28/25.
Get ready to unleash your inner fury at the Norman Sports Commission's Fun Run. Join us on Saturday, March 1st with a race right through Norman. You can pick your distance too, a half marathon, 5K, or a 1-mile fun run, each with an unforgettable run through the iconic OU football stadium. You can sign up for the Fury Run at thefuryrun.com. That's thefuryrun.com and be part of the action.
Serving in Afghanistan, I was shot in the head by sniper fire. I was given a 5% chance to live. I'm Adam Alexander, and I'm a veteran. Today, I visit classrooms and share my story. I tell kids that with a little help and a lot of work, that you can overcome any challenge.
DAV helps veterans like Adam get the benefits they've earned. They help more than 1 million veterans every year.
My victory is being there for the next generation.
Support more victories for veterans. Go to DAV.org.
Drake Dykin with a hit tweet on Twitter.com? No, your eyes do not deceive you. That actually happened. He posted a photo last night from Rudy's of OU guard Dayton Forsyth, obviously a native of Dale, Oklahoma, wearing a shirt that says, "In a land of Lincolns, be a Bob." That's a Sooner right there. A Sooner through and through. As of this moment in time, Drake's tweet has a total of 104 retweets and 738 likes. Minor celebrity status today for Drake Dykin.
Man,
well done, Drake.
Why can't my tweets go viral like that?
How can we get you to go viral? We need, you can always try the tried and true method of just sending sunshine pumper tweets. If you tweet something like, bookmark it, OU football is in for a resurgent campaign in 2025.
I never wanted to go down that road. I know people personally that have gone down that road and it's paid off for them. I never wanted to be that guy.
it's paid off for them perhaps in a monetary sense. I'm not convinced that intellectual dishonesty ever pays off in the long run.
Well, tell that to NBA Centel.
Oh gosh. Okay, but they're just trolling.
Colin Cowherd cited something from NBA Centel on his show yesterday.
Ugh.
Imagine making that much money by just straight up lying to people.
At least it's like they're obviously trolling. You just have to be smart enough to see it.
You do.
I mean, really, it's like Sports Talk Joe, or I guess Sports Talk Barry these days.
Right, yeah.
Formerly Sports Talk Joe.
Mm-hmm.
He's been the demon of the burnerverse for a decade. He was one of the originals. The OGs. Back to OU football and recruiting here as we get ready to wrap up. Some more official visits locked in for key OU targets on the defensive side of the ball, including a trifecta of prospects that recently picked up offers from the trifecta of Nate Dreiling, Wes Goodwin, and James Skalski, who are currently overseeing the Oklahoma linebacker room. The Jandro brothers, we have talked about them before, Bo and Nico. They are going to OV to Oklahoma at the Champ U Barbecue, June 20th through the 22nd. Feel really, really good about OU's standing in the race for Bo and Nico's services. Oklahoma is easily the most prestigious school that has offered the duo. They're going to be on campus March 29th for an unofficial visit in advance of their Champ U Barbecue OV. So Sooners are sitting pretty with those two. Lot to like on tape about the athletes that they are out of the state of Arizona. But how about Braxton Lindsey, Grayson? And I know this is another guy that we have briefly touched on in the past. Braxton Lindsey is, for all intents and purposes, down to 3 schools. He hasn't officially narrowed his list, but he's taking unofficial spring visits to 3 programs, and he is taking OVs come the summer to the same 3 programs. Those programs are as follows: the University of Oklahoma, BYU, and Arkansas. Now, Braxton Lindsey, of course, is a native of Rogers, Arkansas, and so there is some natural pull to both the Razorbacks and the Cougars. He comes from an LDS family, so BYU makes a lot of sense.
Right.
They've really heavily prioritized him. They know they've got an inroad there, and they've leveraged it. And then, I was on the phone with Braxton Lindsey last night, and Arkansas is a very, very recent offer for him. I mean, they took forever to come around and extend a scholarship. But he's still entertaining their advances because, as he put it, I know this is a common sentiment shared by a lot of prospects that come through the prep ranks in the state of Arkansas, including current OU safety Marcus Wimberly, who was committed to the Razorbacks at one point. If you're what they call a hometown hog, i.e., a University of Oklahoma football player, or University of Arkansas football player, that grew up in the state of Arkansas, you're royalty. And so that has a lot of appeal for Braxton Lindsey. Those are the 3 schools for him right now. How do you think Oklahoma is going to fare long-term, pitted against those 2 opponents?
BYU has the religious advantage.
They do, and they also have the most beautiful football stadium that I've ever been to.
That is one of the places I want to go. That would be one of the few reasons I ever step foot in Utah. Because nothing else about Utah is appealing to me for more than 2 days.
Why's that? You ever been to Utah?
I've not. I know there's a lot of scenery. I would go for the scenery, but it would be around a football game. Other than that, there's not really much in Utah that interests me.
Utah is gorgeous, man.
Right.
BYU is gorgeous.
On a perfect day, I'd go see some nature, and then I'd go to a football game.
There you go.
And then I'd get up out of there.
That sounds like my perfect day. See some nature, see a football game. That's really all you need in life.
That's a really good one. But they have the religious advantage, which means a lot to the parents. My parents wanted me to go to a really Christian school. I went to Oklahoma State.
DBU?
We were never going to be able to afford DBU.
Okay,
and I didn't want to go
there. Fair enough. That is a very expensive school.
And I did not want to go there. I wouldn't. They would have had to drag me kicking and screaming to DBU. Anyway, and Arkansas's home. So OU is at a natural disadvantage here. We know that. OU also has the best offensive line coach there is.
Offensive line?
Pardon me. I was just watching. We were watching the guy earlier today who played both sides of the ball.
Tavian Branch.
Yeah, he plays both sides of the ball.
Right.
Pardon you guys gotta forgive me here.
They're the best linebackers.
They do have the best. Yes, they have the best linebacker coaching room. Excuse me. So that's going to be the appeal there. I do think BYU. Here's where BYU could really come into play here. They are the most stable of the three programs that you just mentioned.
I think you're right.
We have Sam Pittman's a year-by-year conundrum. Is this going to be his last year? Is this going to be his last year? Is this going to be his last year? It surprises me. They get recruits. Oklahoma, coaching staff coaching for their job in 2025. That's been well established. BYU is a program on the come-up that has been enjoying a lot of celebrity in the last couple of seasons. So that's where I would put it right now. I think BYU is the program you have to worry about the most. I'm not going to predict anything, but I would give Oklahoma, I'd say a 25% chance to land Braxton Lindsey. If I'm going based off of that and not the inside intel that you have.
Yeah. And look, there's not a whole lot of intel yet because he's still got to take his next campus visit. I mean, he's visited in the past several times, but that was before he picked up the offer. So we'll see how things change now that there's been a changing of the guard on staff, and now that he gets the chance to feel the love as an actual target as opposed to just a recruit, which is a lot broader of a term than target. What's hilarious, though, I mentioned this a few weeks back, I think. This kind of sums up where Sam Pittman and Arkansas are at. There's a 2027 offensive lineman by the name of Bradley Sturdivant. He's from Sheridan, Arkansas, grew up dreaming to be a Hog, right? And so he gets the offer in January. He's at their junior day like a week later. It's on video. The video is on social media of Bradley Sturdivant getting up in the middle of this meeting that Pittman is having with all of the players, walking up, shaking Coach Pittman's hand and telling him, I want to commit to Arkansas. Sam Pittman has no idea who this kid is. None whatsoever. He's like, what's your name? Where are you from? Where it's like, okay, if you don't know the kid, you're not accepting his commitment, right? But obviously there were other staffers in the room that like,
oh no! If you
made it clear to Sam Pittman, like this is actually a guy
no. If you're the offensive line coach, you got to jump out of your seat, sprint your ass down there, and be like, "Whoa, hold on here, give us 2 seconds," because that would be an irreparable mistake.
Now he had the offer from the offensive line coach. He was a guy that had a committable offer to the University of Arkansas. And he's from within state lines, mind you. And the head ball coach has no idea who he is in the moment that he's trying to commit.
That's a problem.
Yeah, and I'm just like, okay, if I'm that kid, regardless of how much I want to be a Hog, I'm second-guessing everything in that moment.
1,000%.
I'm second-guessing everything.
1,000%. And it's not as if you have a coach that would give you confidence that, okay, this is just an honest mistake. Like, this is Sam Pittman we're talking about.
Mm-hmm.
This is not one of the most buttoned-up coaches in college football.
Mm-hmm. And it's not an exact parallel to that, but there were a lot of the same dynamics at play with Arkansas's recruitment of Braxton Lindsey, which has really put them behind the 8 ball. And, like, I don't think he's going to end up there. I would wager that he ends up at either BYU or Oklahoma. And that's a battle that OU should be able to win. Doesn't mean they will, but they should. On the Knippelmeyer Chevrolet text line, Puerto Rican Sooner says, y'all got to listen to less cow turd and more Dan Patrick. The way Dan interviews people and gets the most out of them is why he's a legend in the industry. Yeah, he is one of the greats.
Mm-hmm.
The 3 major influences on me and my broadcasting career, in no particular order, Vin Scully, Bob Costas, Dan Patrick.
I can see it.
Yep.
I can 1,000% see it.
Dan is one of the greats. One of the greats, and probably does not get as much respect as he should as a legend and a pioneer in our profession. Okay, we are out of time. Obviously, there is much more OU football and recruiting talk coming up tomorrow here. Same time, same place. on the Ref Sports Radio Network. Locked In is live every weekday at 2 p.m. with me and the great Grayson Singleton. However, for today, with a nod to Dorsey Jones Buick GMC, our fine sponsor, we're going to call it a wrap and hand things off to the Buckus Award winner, Ted Lehman, and of course, Machine Gun McComas. Tyler McComas joins Ted on The Rush coming up on the other side, so you should not go anywhere. Stay right here, whether you're listening on the radio, the app, however you may be tuning in, YouTube. Make sure you stay tapped into the Ref, the home of Sooner fans.